Not long ago, I finally got the chance to watch a movie from last year that I've been really interested in seeing, but never got the chance to watch it in theaters. That movie was the movie Coriolanus. It was the first movie directed by Ralph Fiennes. You probably know him as Voldemort from the Harry Potter movies. And it's an adaptation of one of Shakespeare's lesser-known tragedies. The play Coriolanus is one of his plays set in ancient Rome. It follows a general who has a very very much of a hatred for the general public, distrust of them, and they don't like him either. And after resisting them in a riot, he's sent to try to resist an attack and try to conquer a rival city, a group of military leaders called the Volscians, who are led by Caius Marcius. That's the main character's name. Who are led by Caius Marcius's rival named Tullus Aufidus. And after conquering them in the city of Coriolanus, Caius Marcius returns home to Rome and is renamed, as a sign of glory, Coriolanus. Then his mother, Volumna, tries to use this newfound fame to push him to run for consul, one of the high elected offices of Rome, because she wants her family to be very high in power in Rome. And even though he very much dislikes the general people, as I mentioned before, he agrees to this basically so he can help his mother. But his disdain for the general public ends up backfiring on him because of the fact that they don't like him either. Tends to set off his temper and eventually becomes exiled from Rome, where he joins forces with Tullus Aufidus and the leftover Volscians to try to march back on Rome and conquer the city. And that's basically the main story arc of Coriolanus. Now, like a whole lot of Shakespeare adaptations, this one does not use the time setting that you might think. Not the time set. This is not set in ancient Rome. What Ralph Fiennes does in this movie, and it works really well, kind of like a very good stage production, he sets it in a setting that feels like the modern time, but does not have a very specific location, very specific era. It feels like a modern time somewhere, but without anything too specific, which means you can relate it to just about anywhere in the world if you want to. He actually shot this movie in Serbia, in Belgrade, and a few other cities around there, and gives it really kind of a sort of urban, civil, unresty kind of feel of it. And the movie's kind of shot in sort of a handheld camera action style that you would recognize from movies like The Hurt Locker. He uses actually the same cinematographer that The Hurt Locker used, Barry Ackroyd. Does very good work here. And also, when the action sequences are shot kind of like movies like The Bourne Identity or Green Zone, with a sort of handheld camera watching people running through the cities, shooting at each other with AK-47s. You may actually be surprised by how many different action sequences they have in this movie. I mean, Coriolanus is a very violent play, and it makes it work very well. I mean, it's probably just about as close as we can ever get to a Shakespearean action movie. And I'm sure that even people who aren't familiar with the play, I mean, I wasn't really familiar with the play until I heard this movie was being made. Even people who aren't familiar with it would find the action stuff very entertaining. This movie turns Shakespeare into very much an entertainment, much in the same way that Ian McKellen's 1995 version of Richard III did, where he set it in sort of a 1930s fascist-esque Great Britain, kind of an alternate reality sort of thing. Now, the performances are also very good in this movie. We have Ralph Fiennes, who not only directs, also plays Coriolanus. This is a part that he's been really obsessed with ever since he played it on stage 10 years ago. He plays it very well as sort of a guy who's like single-minded in his devotion to the military, and also his devotion to his mother. Because like many of Shakespeare's plays, the relationship between the character and his mother, character and his parents, is very much a key element here. And the mother, she's played by Vanessa Redgrave. She is very manipulative, very kind of devious in her own ambitions, but since, this is a patriarchal society, she has to use her son to get ahead of herself. And Ralph Fiennes, even though he knows that he's not suited for working as a politician, he needs to do this because his mother wants him to, and he's completely subservient to his mother, even though he's very strong-willed as a military leader. Other characters are the Senator Menenius. He's played by Brian Cox, who also gives a very good performance. He's a sort of a middle ground sort of guy. I mean, he wants to help Caius Marcius, and he wants to help his mother Volumnia, but he also really thinks that he has the best interests of Rome at heart, which makes him a very complicated character. I mean, he does things that you might think are probably are wrong, but he does it because he can empathize with people from different perspectives, and he really wants to do what's best for Rome, even if what he thinks is best is not best. So he's a very sympathetic character, even when he's doing things that we, the audience, know won't turn out very well. Also, there's Jessica Chastain, the indie goddess of last year, with movies like The Help and Take Shelter and The Debt and The Tree of Life. She also played a role here. She plays Coriolanus' wife, and she doesn't have a whole lot to do here, but she is quite good in her scenes. She is very uncomfortable with the fact that Coriolanus is almost completely single-minded in his devotion to the military, and she'd much rather him stay at home, even though the Roman society, and Coriolanus in particular, thinks that devotion to the military is the best thing you could possibly do. She doesn't exactly like that, and she seems afraid many times that her son may be following in his father's footsteps just a bit too much. And there are also a couple of the Roman tribunes. Tribunes in ancient Rome were the elected officials basically designed to voice the voice of the people. I can't remember the actor's names right offhand, but they're very good. Their role in the movie is basically to, since they're the voice of the people, they are very much disdainful of Caius Marcius Coriolanus, and they want to stop him from gaining any power that he might want, or that his mother might want. But they're also complicated in that there also seems to be a sort of personal vendetta against them. I mean, even though they're elected as the voice of the people, they still have their own personal motivations, and some of their scenes of dueling dialogue, some of the Shakespearean dialogue where they debate Coriolanus or debate Menenius, can be really just about as exciting as some of the gun battles, and that's really the cool accomplishment of this movie, is that even though it's a Shakespeare movie and lots of the strength is in the dialogue, Ralph Fiennes' direction makes everything exciting all the way through. And the other major character in this movie is Tullus Aufidus, Coriolanus' rival. He's played by Gerard Butler. You might not think Gerard Butler would be the first person to come to mind to do a Shakespeare adaptation, but he's really, really good here. I don't think I've ever seen him be a better part in a movie. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but he really makes it very well. I mean, he's this big, powerful, brutal kind of guy. Of course, we know he can play a brutal action hero really well. I mean, that's how he's been making his money recently. But as Tullus Aufidus, he takes this whole action hero, burly guy thing to a whole different level. I mean, he is, of course, completely at odds and at rivalry with Caius Marcius, but as the movie goes on, you see him realize that his avowed hatred of Caius Marcius really seems to be a disguise for his true feelings for him. And when Caius Marcius comes to him for aid, you can really see the different layers of emotion that he has just kind of strip away. And by the end of the movie, when more things happen between the two of them, you can really, really identify with his feelings. It's a wonderful performance. It's probably the best thing that Gerard Butler's ever done, I think. So, if you're a fan of Shakespeare, or if you want to give Shakespeare a try, at least, I say you should check this movie out. It's a very good movie, even aside from the Shakespeare thing. I mean, the actors are all good. The direction is really good in how it seamlessly integrates the Shakespearean dialogue and plotting with the modern day thing. And this movie really should have had a much better release. I think this movie could have been a modest hit if it was given a decent theatrical release. But as it stands, if you're interested in Shakespeare, if you're interested in any of the careers of these actors, you really should check this movie out. I believe this is a movie that's going to be looked on in a very positive way in years to come, maybe as almost a masterclass in how to turn Shakespeare into a very entertaining movie in the modern era. So, I say this is a really excellent movie. You should watch it.